Hello. Hi there everybody, Ricky Tang here. I'm out on another first date, courtesy of those top folk at Frasers of Gloucester. Today you find me on a Suzuki GSXS1000. Unfortunately, it can't be your usual kind of first date type ride because this bike is box fresh. I now have 2 miles on the clock in total, so I can't take the mickey. I have to ride with respect and with restraint. So it might just be a relatively brief video, or I can't really say too much about the bike if I cannot take too many liberties. One of the things I was actually a bit impressed with just as I got on the bike was the fact that the brake and clutch levers are anodised black. They're not just your normal kind of silver standard fare. So right there to get some style points. You don't have to try and look for replacement levers to make the bike look a bit more stylish. The front brake lever is span adjustable, but the clutch lever isn't, unfortunately. Just your normal cable adjustment on the end. But keeping with the black theme of the levers, we've got a Renthal fat bar here as standard equipment. So it's all looking quite mean and moody up front. All the black equipment does sound pretty nice through the airbox. The induction noise sounds quite nice. That's something I'm a sucker for, really. I've been finding out over these rides I love a throaty airbox. Right then. So again, like I said, can't use too many revs. I'm already in 6th gear, knocking on the door of 5,000 RPM, and I don't really want to go any higher than that. This is 5th gear. Oh, got that line really wrong. 5th gear. Yeah, the bike feels, the engine feels responsive, and the steering feels responsive as well. It helps that there's not much bodywork up front, there's not a lot of weight up front. It does feel like you can boss it around a bit. I know that was a little stretch of relatively twisty road. It was quite short, but I just enjoyed kind of moving from one side of the bike to the other, leaning forward over the front of the bike a little bit. You know, making out like I'm a proper hooligan. Quite enjoyable. The bike feels relatively stiffly suspended, but I do believe the front forks are fully adjustable, preload, rebound and compression from what I can see. So hopefully you can dial it in to suit you. But from the crate, yeah, it does feel a bit on the stiff side. Not a bad thing yet. So that adds to the impression of kind of compactness, and this bike does feel quite compact. With this lack of bodywork over the front, stiff suspension, stiffish suspension, and responsive throttle kind of off the stop. Yeah, it does feel like kind of a tight, compact motorbike. More so than I expected. Obviously this model's been around for a number of years now. I might add the year this bike was first released on the screen here. And I don't know, I already had the preconceived idea that its bite isn't as bad as its bark. But I like this kind of tight, compact nature. On these slow bumpy roads, yeah, not too unpleasant, but like I said, this stiffness, you can certainly feel it. Just as I came on the throttle then, just to kind of get down that speed hump, it did bite a little bit, was a little bit sharp on the throttle, so there might be a bit of a sharpness that you have to deal with. I wasn't first though, so hopefully it won't get any worse. I had a yellow light then as I accelerated. I didn't accelerate very hard. I can only presume right now that the bike's got integrated wheelie control in the traction control, and I think it was trying to keep the front end down. That's what my BMW does. That might be what happened there. Just looking at the clocks there and just trying to see what the traction control options are. Basically you've got off, 1, 2 and 3. Now I've set it to off, the traction control warning light is constantly lit, as it probably should be, to warn you that if you're a dick you might regret it. So this bike, yes, what's that, about 12 miles on the clock now it says. It'll never be cleaner than it is today, so I'll stop soon and take some photos while the sun's shining. I just hit a little pothole. Yeah, certainly reinforcing my idea that this bike's quite stiff. But as I said, it's adjustable, so if you needed a plusher ride, should be able to dial that in. So here I am cruising along. It says 28 on the clock, 4th gear, just over 2,000 RPM, maybe 2.2. Will it pull? Oh yeah, oh yes indeed. I was very keen to accelerate then in 4th. So I'm looking down at the clocks. They are old school LCD. No black text on a light background like a calculator, but for some reason I can't quite explain I really like the look of the dash. I like the look of the instruments. I like the layout is quite clear, none of the text is too small. It's got everything you need, rev counter across the top, fuel range and fuel level at the bottom, trip computer in the bottom left. You've got a clock visible all the time. We've got the traction control indicator and your temperature and a gear indicator. That is literally everything you need on this bike. I can hear the fan though. I think the fan's kicked off already, even though it's only about maybe 15, 16 Celsius outside. Yeah, I think I just smelt the heat just rising up, and I think it just hit my nose. So ergonomically so far I've only been going slow basically. It's a nice place to sit. Slightly sporty riding position, a very slight lean forward to the bars. I mean really quite slight. My heels are kind of below my bum, so not too swept back. Don't think my knees will get too cramped in this position for on a long journey. Yeah, there's a bit of a snatchiness there. You might have even heard it just coming around that roundabout. It's another bike where you might need to keep on top of the chain maintenance, keep it lubed and adjusted properly, otherwise the snatch should be made to feel worse than it needs to be. It just feels like, compared to my BMW S1000R, feels like 5% kind of a bit smaller everywhere. Not much, but noticeable. So here we are, GSXS1000 Suzuki. Isn't that interesting actually? It doesn't say Suzuki anywhere except on the belly pan at the bottom. It doesn't say it on the tank. Or anywhere on the top half of the bike. Anyway, not that interesting really. So, I've never given this bike a serious look. I've never really looked at this bike very deeply because I've never been a fan of this bit of fairing, this bit of plastic. Looks a bit too droopy for my liking, a bit too melty, but I'm warming to it a little bit. Now I've actually spent a bit of time looking at it in the flesh. It's not quite the eyesore I kind of thought it was on the pictures. I think my eyes were automatically drawn to it in the pictures. Now I've got the bike in front of me, and looking at it as a whole, it doesn't look too bad at all. So this bike inherited the GSXR1000 engine from the K5 model series, so literally from about 2005 or so. 150 PS at 10,000 RPM and 79.6 foot-pounds, or I think 108 newton meters at 9,500 RPM. Just looking at the Suzuki website there, the curb weight for this bike, kind of wet weight, is 209 kilos, which is only 4 kilos heavier than my BMW. So the weight's actually quite impressive, I think. Not too heavy. The seat height is 810 millimeters, which I think that was 31.9 inches, which is higher than I thought. Strangely enough, the seat height felt quite low when I was sat on the bike, but apparently not. I suppose maybe the seat being quite narrow, relatively narrow at the front, maybe that just made my legs drop down easier, add to the impression of a low seat height. Chassis wise, we have 41mm upside down forks. What's quite nice is they have a full complement of adjusters, so we can do preload and rebound. I imagine that's rebound, it usually is, and compression damping down there on the front fork. Is that the same on both sides? Is it one of those that's got adjustment on one side fork only? No, I've got an adjuster on the other side as well. That's cool. Brembo radial brake calipers, allied to, I guess that will be a Nissan master cylinder, I imagine. I can't say for certain. Can't see a brand on it anywhere, but it sure as hell not Brembo. The back brake, single piston Nissan caliper. Swing arm looking quite beefy, and you know, the old banana shaped swing arm, which looks quite nice, not a boring straight affair. Can't see too much of the engine there. Everybody knows its history and its potency. Shame I can't give this bike a few more revs, but like I say, it's a very fresh new machine. Quite liking it in white, to be honest with you. Still getting used to the droopy side panel there, but that's quite nice in white. I've already ridden the GSXS1000, really enjoyed that, and I had the impression that this bike might just feel kind of heavier, slower, well, not so slower, sorry, it might feel heavier, kind of slower steering, bit less interesting to ride, but yeah, I guess they've put some work into making this feel like a small machine. Here's a dash. Let's get the dash on it. I don't know why I'm quite taken with this dash. That's quite nice. I don't know what it is about it that I like. It's just nice and clear. Well laid out, I think. traction control on the right there, TC, says 1. I could press select to get in there and push up and down to switch through those options, if you can see them for the reflections. There you go. I press the old select button to get out of traction control, and then when I'm pressing mode, we are just cycling through the trip computer settings. Fuel level, miles per gallon, 37. Yikes, that's not very much, but again, the engine's new. I'll forgive it that for now. Clock, revs, temperature. Not much else. You don't really need much else, do you? So this is a fairly basic bike, really, compared to other machines in the super naked or naked litre bike range. It's got traction control, but no rider modes. No wheelie control, that sort of thing. Although I suspect wheelie control is kind of built in or baked into traction. I had the light come on a little earlier on, just with relatively gentle acceleration in first gear. It certainly wasn't going to spin the tyre, despite the tyres being brand new. So I think there's wheelie control. The thing for me that kind of lets it down, as you can see here, is the lighting. Old halogen lights, although the little parking lights are, or side lights are, LED. Main beam. So, you know, this bike could do with a midlife refresh, LED lights, and you know, new headlight housing. We've got LED at the rear, I think we have, so we're okay on the rear end of things. Yeah, that looks quite nice. The indicators, hold on a minute, seems not quite straight. Anyway, I'm not gonna mess about with them too much. So yeah, it could do with a kind of a midlife update, be modernized with some more electronics, better lighting, just to keep up with the competition. Unless it's considerably cheaper than the competition, in which case I'll forgive it. I'll stick the price up here. Actually, let me go and search for the price. One moment. Well, the price on the Suzuki website, 10,599 RRP. So that actually, I think I'm pretty impressed with that price. So I think 10,599 is decent value for money, and if they obviously started adding more bits to it and modernising it and developing those parts first, that's going to add to the bottom line. So for the money, if you want a basic, powerful, naked bike, here it is. If you like the styling. Oh, we've got cows in the road. Get a move on. Hello. Noticing at this 60 mile an hour I'm doing in 6th gear, a little bit of a thrum, a bit of vibration through the fuel tank at that speed, but not the handlebars or the seat, interestingly. I imagine the vibes will come and go on different parts of the bike at different revs. So because I'm running in, I can't really go any faster than this, about 70 or less. I can't tell you too much about the wind blast at higher speeds. What I can tell you about this speed is there's no undue buffeting hitting my upper body or crash helmet. It's actually very smooth. Just a kind of a constant wind pressure, but because I'm not going that fast, there wasn't even much of that. Doesn't feel as strong low revs, frankly, so far compared to my BMW. I do think they got the low rev torque on my bike absolutely spot on. It feels really grunty at low revs. I absolutely love it. This doesn't feel as grumpy. Doesn't feel as grunty. So I think this throttle, the on-off response, I think I'm coming down on the side of borderline snatchy. It's almost snatchy. I think it could get annoying, but it's manageable, I think, unless you forget about it, and in that case sometimes you will lurch forward by accident. I call it just one of the idiosyncrasies of the bike. There's not many others from what I can tell so far. It's been a pleasant ride. Quite a bit of a throttle free play there. Hadn't noticed that until just then. Probably can't adjust that out. So overall, still I haven't, well, I've gone about as fast as I can go so far really on this ride. I've done about 5,000 RPM in top, and I don't really want to go any higher than that. Not for a sustained period. So what I can say is the bike has so far been really smooth. Aside from the vibration through the fuel tank I've noticed so far. And I think that's made my tallywhacker go a little bit tingly. my little ticket's gone a bit numb. But aside from the tank so far, the vibrations are fairly well controlled. But I think people have complained about vibes on this bike. I suspect that might be at higher sustained revs than what I'm willing to do today. The fuel lights just come on. It's a very small fuel light. It's kind of little flashing LCD icon next to the fuel level, but also the clock is showing me range now, so I'm going to have to stop soon, get some go-go juice. Switchgear doesn't feel too cheap and nasty. It's not got the quality of old-fashioned Japanese switchgear, but the quality feels a step up from my BMW switchgear, to be honest. Oh, let's just have a little bit of a sound check from a standstill. That is quick. That is very responsive, isn't it? Very nice. Right, let's go, shall we? This stiffness is making it want to leave the ground. As if I suppose that might be higher than maybe necessary rebound damping. Jury's still out though, I'm not sure, and I'm no suspension guru, so I could be talking out of my arse anyway. But under roads with crests and kind of large undulations, it seems to want to leave the ground. Yeah, I do think this bike could stand being made, at least for my weight anyway, a little bit more compliant. Yeah, maybe if I was a few stone heavier today, right now, this ride would be more comfortable. Suspension would kind of be working more. Gearbox has been no complaints about the gearbox, although personally I keep forgetting that there's no quick shifter or auto blipper, but that's my fault, not the bike's. Clutch action, not the lightest, but it works perfectly well. So this is simple big bike biking. What made me say that? The thing that made me say that is looking down and realizing we got no cruise control or heated grips, along with no rider modes and that sort of thing. Doesn't make it a bad bike, just makes it a basic bike. And if you like basic bikes, then this could be up your street. Oh yeah, feet well down, nice and flat on the floor, with knees bent, so no trouble. So would I take the Suzuki GSXS1000 out on a second date? Well, definitely yes, because it's showing a lot of promise. I'm actually quite enjoying what I've found so far with this machine. Much like the GSXS 750. Yeah, it's just got a bit of a character about it. Partly to do with that airbox noise. And this, frankly, agile handling. Surprising handling. This bike is sharper than I thought it would be. So thanks for hanging out with me on my first date here with a Suzuki. You may well see me out on her again, because there certainly seems to be enough about this bike to warrant a second ride on her, so to speak. So see you in another video, and enjoy the rest of your day.